Hi, I'm Tom Hart from the Sequential Artist Workshop, where we teach graphic novels and comics here in sunny Gainesville, Florida.
This episode, simple storytelling, using pictures to create and to change story. Here's a simple comic strip. It's from 1955. It's from Steve Canyon by Milt Caniff. This would have been one of the most popular comic strips at the time.
Steve Canyon, he's an Air Force guy. He saves the world, he gets into a lot of trouble, he kisses a lot of girls. It's the 1950s. So Caniff's main job is to keep you reading. He packs a lot of information into these 4-panel strips. This would have come out on a Wednesday or a Thursday. His main goal is to keep you excited enough to read the next day's newspaper.
So here's the story. Here's what you need to know. There's 3 characters in this particular plot. Steve, he's the Air Force hunk. Miss Redwood, she's the love interest in this particular subplot. And Miss Redwood's Taiwanese maid. This whole story takes place in Taiwan. So in the first panel, Steve Canyon and Miss Redwood are kissing. Second panel, the maid comes in, the telephone's ringing. The maid says, Missy Redwood, telephone rings. Steve and Miss Redwood are still in the background smooching. Panel 3, there's a lot going on. Miss Redwood says, yes, thank you, Hangling. And then she says, hello, this is she speaking. Oh, how do you do, Mr. Hall? Why, no, Holly left here hours ago. Meanwhile, Steve is sort of putting himself back together, and that's the maid sort of walking around in the back. And then in the 4th panel, it says, and so the story breaks that Holly has disappeared. And in the Formosa Straits, and we see this Chinese ship, and coming off of this ship is, for the 11th time, mister, I know nothing about jet engines, and that's the end. And that's designed to get you interested in picking up that newspaper tomorrow and finding out what happened to Holly, finding what Steve's going to do, finding what Miss Redwood's going to do, etc.
Here's an exercise we do at SAW. I take those 4 panels, we tack them up onto this wall right back here, and I invite the students, I say, insert a panel or 2 or 3, wherever they seem to need to fit.
I usually start by inserting this panel of the telephone ringing. All it does is it just gives us that little more solid amount of time to actually understand that the phone is really ringing. And now I invite the students, one at a time, to insert another panel, something they feel is needed. Now here, students added a simple panel of Steve Canyon taking a breath mint before kissing Miss Redwood. Simple panel, simple idea, but what it does is it just makes that making out scene seem so much more intense now. It's something that had to be prepared for, and it's something that, while it was happening, even the telephone couldn't stop it. So now somebody's added another panel, right before the first one. That's Steve, coming in through the window. Steve, what are you doing here? Miss Redwood, I have to tell you something. And so now, that second panel of him popping a breath mint's kind of funny. It's like he's answering his own question with a joke. Miss Redwood, I have to tell you something. And then he pops the breath mint. And then that kiss gets going, and it's really long because the phone is ringing. And suddenly you're creating this longer story, this longer mood that's got some lightheartedness, it's got some intensity, all sorts of things are happening just with the addition of these simple panels. So here, let's look at a couple more. Here the students added another panel, a simple one. Miss Redwood reacting on the phone. What, you haven't seen her? And then another student comes in, and a couple panels before that, it's a panel of the maid listening intently. And so now we're seeing the character of the maid as somebody who's paying attention, who's possibly in on the plot, whether on one side or another. And it makes us even wonder, when she was telling Miss Redwood that the telephone was ringing, was there something else going on in her mind? And if we continue, here somebody's added another panel. Whoa, that kiss is getting crazy out of control. And another panel, the maid is saying, whoa, aliens. And then finally another panel towards the end, Steve's on his way, prepare the trap. Now, this exercise can go on a long time, and in fact, in this particular example, there were pirates and hang gliders and all sorts of things. The important thing is that this is really about play, and about stretching the imagination, and about fiddling around with how pictures combine to tell stories.
And if we've done this right, this panel says something about this panel. This panel changes that panel. Everything is responding. Every panel is sort of communicating with every other panel. Pictures are changing the psychology, the plot, the characters' intentions. That's what the comic storytelling is about. It's designed to be a game.